the author of The Sleeper Agent and Biowarfare. We're going to talk about biowarfare victim on COVID vaccines with Adam Finnegan. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So I'm sure your book is sold where everyone can get it.
Yep. They can usually get it at Amazon or TrianDay.com.
Okay. It's all over the place. All right,
Yeah.
a Dutch court, and I'm so glad they did this because I absolutely refuse to get this shot. I just won't.
Mm-hmm.
But a Dutch court has identified the COVID vaccines as weapons of biowarfare. The Dutch have. So, you know, all of you people who think the Europeans and the Swedes and the Dutch and all those guys do everything better than we do, maybe you should listen up to this one. Right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what'd they say, Adam?
Yeah, it was a man who had claimed that it was not a vaccine and it was actually like a biowarfare agent, and that would concur with all of the stuff that I had found in the sleeper agent. These certain antigens or on COVID, it was, you know, the term spike protein. Well, these are little things that you can add on to certain biowarfare agents, and that's what Eric Traub made a whole career of doing. And when this came out, before they even had this vaccine on the market, I was talking to some of my friends and my sources, and I was saying that this is not going to work. This is going to be very dangerous. It's going to cause a lot of harm. And I talked about how it would induce this immune tolerance, this chronic immunosuppression, which would bring just an ocean of injuries, and it sure has.
And a lot of people have been hurt by this shot. Why won't they admit it?
Right. I met so many people, and it's stressful for me because it was like, at that time, before it was even on the market, I knew what it was going to do. I saw how it worked with some of the other vaccines, like Lymerix. It has a similar profile. And, you know, like, who's going to listen to someone like me? Nobody. And so I saw this unfold. I met a lot of the injured, and it was just very heartbreaking. And they still today, they refuse to take any accountability, and they just keep pushing the shot. So but yes, this man, and I believe this man had died at some point after telling the Dutch court all this year he was going to testify or something about it, and suddenly dies. So it was like, but I was 100% on the same page as him. Like, this is what I had been saying. This is what my book had been kind of showing, is that these certain antigens, they basically destroy the immune system, and they were trying to sell this as a form of immunity. They know that it causes that. They even, in 2012, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, along with NIH, funded a paper called Disease Tolerance as a Defense Strategy. I mean, they were looking at it as an acceptable form of immunity. And the whole idea is, well, if we take out your immune system, it's not going to have such a fatal reaction. But then when you do that, you basically destroy your health, and you're plagued by just serious chronic health problems, neurological and neuropsychiatric disorders, and also cancers. And that, to me, is not an acceptable form of immunity.
Yeah. So can you tell people your background? Somebody just said, who is this guy to be saying this stuff?
Well, are you asking me, like, my background for my book and stuff? Yeah. Like, so I started researching all this stuff, and I'm not in the medical field or anything. I was just a researcher. I got sick with Lyme disease. And then I learned how all of this stuff works, and I started to study the work of Eric Traub, the guy who is the center of my book, and he's the one who discovered all of these things. I spent years collecting all of his research. I spent years studying it. I learned from somebody that I started a Lyme disease group. She was a former Pfizer biochemist. She originally taught me all about this immune tolerance. And she had done a lot of work on the Lymerix vaccine, the Lyme disease vaccine. And so I started to research these antigens, and this is basically what I came to. And so when all of this was unraveling, I already had recognized a lot of this from all of my research into Lyme disease. So
Once you get sick with something and you want to find out more about it, you start digging. It's kind of scary
Yeah.
what you find, isn't it?
And, it's like some people say, oh, well, because the doctors won't have as much information as us, but we're driven by a survival mechanism. We're driven by a need because it affects our health to such a degree, and they won't do anything about it. Like when I got sick with Lyme disease, my public health system, they couldn't help me. They were telling me I wasn't sick, and I was driven by a survival mechanism. There'd be times when I feel like I was dying, but then I'd go into the hospital or something, and they'd say, oh, we don't see anything wrong with you, and it would be just like an embarrassing, humiliating experience. So I was driven by a need to know this stuff, and that's why I went so deep into it, and I learned all of the immunology, and I learned about all of this stuff. So it was, years in the making.
Lyme disease is such a chronic illness, too. I mean,
Yeah.
you just feel terrible.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that the COVID-19, these spike proteins are a lot like they act in a very similar way to some of the Lyme disease antigens, the outer surface protein A. They cause a similar disease. That's why a lot of people, after they had got COVID or the shot, had this slow chronic disease, and they ended up calling it long COVID. I recognize it as just another name for immune tolerance, the general condition when you take out your immune system. This kind of follows.
Well, people have asked me if I have long COVID. I'm like, no, I didn't get the shot. I've had COVID a lot of times, but I've never had the shot. So I don't have long COVID because I don't have that in my body. But they did do a program where they gave you some of I don't even know what it was called anymore, like an immuno type process where it helped you fight COVID. And I did go have that done at the behest of my own niece, who's a registered nurse, and I wish I hadn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, you think about those things after the fact, and a lot of people are like, well, you had your kids vaccinated. See, the difference is we know how those vaccines came about. We've seen that they actually completely wipe out diseases like polio and measles and stuff like that, which are sadly making a comeback because some people are choosing to let their kids get them, and it's spreading and it's killing people. But the COVID shot was made very quickly. We were lied to about so many things by that little guy who stood behind the podium and lied and laughed and made money. And I do not trust it. And I was very angry with doctors who pushed it on me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, well, there was something really concerning that I found because of the work that I had done in my book. I had known about this Soviet bioweaponeer named M.P. Chumakov, and it was actually his son who was running vaccine safety and review at the FDA when they approved that. And anybody who reads my book and sees who this Shumakov guy is would be absolutely alarmed to know that this guy had a position like that over there. So, yeah, there's a lot of concerning stuff there.
Yeah, especially the people who are making the most money. Fauci is a war criminal, if you ask me, for what he did.
I would agree.
So when did the Dutch court identify this? Do you know? What's the timeline on that?
Oh, I forget. I didn't look it up. I know about it generally, but it was sometime...
That's okay. You don't have to be specific, but it was recently. It was recently.
Yeah.
And so when the Dutch court is calling the vaccines weapons of biowarfare, it means that there's something in them that should not go in the human body.
Absolutely.
And I don't want it in mine. No one in my family, not one single person has gotten the COVID shot. Not one. Not any of my extended family. Nobody.
Didn't either.
Well, and the way that people lost their jobs and like the Navy SEALs, the way they keep saying they don't want Donald Trump to be a king. But I'm like, I've never in my lifetime have I been told that if I didn't do something, I would be fired or I couldn't go buy groceries. I felt like I was in China or North Korea. I mean, you want to talk about having a king? Give me a break. I know that we were all scared. We didn't know what we were dealing with, but let's be real here. If there ever was a time when we weren't allowed to have an opinion or even think a certain way, so many people lost so many people they loved because of COVID and the restrictions around it without ever getting to say goodbye for real or just touch them one last time or give them a hug. And that makes me so stinking mad because it didn't have to be that way.
Yeah, and there was VAERS report. I was keeping up with the VAERS reports as it was unfolding, and personally, I know like my extended family knew a lot of people that dropped dead right after, like within days. Just suddenly, they go to bed, they don't wake up.
Yep.
Or they're doing something, they're running along a trail, and then they have a heart attack, and they just drop dead. And it was happening a lot. There were so many reports
A
too,
lot.
and those are only like 1% of what actually. It says they say that it's only reflective of about 1% of what the actual picture is looking like because a lot of people don't utilize it.
Well, and a lot of people are just saying, "Oh, they died of a heart attack, not the COVID shot." But when it's a mother of four and she's perfectly healthy, and then she just dies,
right,
a day after getting the shot, that's a thing. And it just makes me so angry because I have a friend named Mac, and he kept posting on his page because he was against COVID shot too. So way to go, Mac. You know who you are. He would post the videos of somebody who just got a shot. They'd be on TV sportscasting or something. They'd have a convulsion and flip over on their chair and die, and everybody's looking at him like, what the hell just happened? He just got a COVID shot. He's dead now. And TikTok, stop getting the stupid COVID shot. So I'm never getting one, ever.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the musicians I listen to, they often have to do that to go touring, and a lot of musicians I listen to have passed away just suddenly, and I always think, that's probably what it was. But
you never know. I mean, there a lot of people die of a lot of things. We get that. Yeah. Some die of car accidents, some die of alcohol abuse. They shut down their own organs. People die of a lot of different things. But if a perfectly healthy person dies a couple days after getting a COVID shot, I'm pretty sure I know what killed them.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So in your book, I want to get to the name of it. It's called The Sleeper Agent. Yeah. You write about things that are being put into our bodies that shouldn't be at the behest of people who are in charge.
Mm-hmm. Well, my book was more about the biological warfare story.
Mm-hmm. It is biowarfare.
In a guy named Eric Straub, who was very, like I said, he had discovered something called immune tolerance, and he was one of the VIP players in the biological warfare game. He worked for multiple different superpowers. He was very important to the game, and I kind of cataloged the entire picture and how a lot of today is just an extenuation of all of this. It was really getting rolling in the Cold War, and then it just kept going. And, as of recently, they're saying that the U.S. was funding all these biolabs. And but I would say that every country is also doing it. Like, the U.S. is involved, but so are many other countries. It's kind of a melting pot.
Yeah, well, because COVID came out of nowhere. Actually, it came out of a lab in China, but, it's just something you can't say because Trump said it. But if the Dutch court has identified these COVID vaccines as weapons of biowarfare, if true, this is mass murder for profit, if it's true. So I want people to read your book. I want people to do more studies, and I want them to think before they get the jab. And if a lot of doctors are mad at me right now, it's okay. I'm allowed to have an opinion as well as you. I usually take my doctor's advice. Well, she would argue that I don't. But, just do what's best for you. Nothing should ever be mandated when it comes to something that's brand new. If it's tried and true and it can kill our children, then yes, get your measles, mumps, rubella, get all of those because it's better for your kids and it doesn't cause autism. So, but the COVID shot, jury's still out on that one for me. Adam Finnegan, how did they get your book, sir?
Like it says, Amazon.com, or you could go to tryingday.com. I have them there. And that's about. And I also write on Substack. People can follow me there at AW Finnegan.
All right. Adam Finnegan. His book is called The Sleeper Agent. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. You too.